Looking back at the trials and tribulations of the World Cup 2026, which for several weeks appeared to subsume public consciousness entirely, I'm reminded of one particular England victory, not because of the score, even the football, but because of what success seems to do otherwise to rational people. There's something rather curious about football in general. 22 grown adults spend 90 minutes chasing an inflated ball across a field, while 7 million otherwise rational human beings become convinced that shouting at the television somehow improves the overall outcome. Success, however, has always fascinated me, not because of what it gives us, because of what it convinces us we still lack. Good old Andy, you can relate to that one. It has often struck me that success rarely removes insecurity. If anything, it gives it confidence. We begin searching for new ways to convince ourselves and everyone else that we really, truly deserve to. Thomas Tuchel is a great example of this. The universe is littered with great examples of civilizations attempting to compensate for imagined shortcomings, constructing entire cultures around cultural belief that happiness lies in one achievement, one possession, one triumph away, leaving behind a legacy of U-turns that even Keir Starmer would blush at. Now, let's go with that. Perhaps then it should come as no surprise that modern astrophysicists and exomorphologists have long dismissed the Lockin civilization of Boozin XXI as primitive. They were not. The Lockins, contrary to popular belief, were anything but primitive. They were remarkable engineers, gifted athletes, and according to the latest archaeological evidence, pioneers of the first known application of compressed intestinal propulsion. The whoopee cushion had nothing on them, while modern science has astoundingly struggled to reproduce the technique without catastrophic consequences. The Lockins refined it over several thousand years into both practical means of transport and an indispensable tool of civilization. All this, it can be argued, is far in advance of Tesla. Many historians now generally accept that the Lockin Empire owed much of its territorial expansions to synchronized methane-assisted infantry charges. Now, if only Napoleon had thought of that, an entire French empire pushing its way across the world under the steam of cheese and port, he could have avoided St. Helena and Alba totally. Now, the Lockins' dominance of Interplanetary Games became so complete that visiting teams protested repeatedly. Pre-match testing then was a nightmare. This diplomatic process soon followed, eventually culminating in the introduction of Rule 47, more commonly remembered as by historians as the anti-wind legislation. Excavations beneath the Lockin National Stadium uncovered the remains of more than 40 ceremonial ventilation ducts, believed by scholars to have been pre-match warm-up areas. Now, these discoveries have inspired Area 51, the Pentagon, and the intelligence communities of the whole world on Earth. Inevitably, they have also found their way to the offices of international football managers, many of whom now insist upon unusually spacious changing rooms and remarkably well-ventilated toilets. Understandably, the implications are filtered throughout the Premier League and beyond, igniting a worldwide search for identity anew. It would, of course, be comforting to imagine that humanity had learned from the Lockins' mistakes. Sadly, the archaeological evidence it suggests otherwise. How do you think Samson really lost his hair? The desire to compensate for imagined inadequacies merely changed his clothing. Perhaps it's not merely a human failing, this one, but a universal one. Across the cosmos, civilization continues searching for the next victory, the next possession, or the next public celebration that might finally complete them. History, it seems, has an unfortunate habit of repeating itself. The lessons of Boozin 21, regrettably, remain as relevant today as they were several thousand years ago. Modern scholarship continues to debate the exact significance of the event, although its influence upon contemporary society is difficult to ignore. However, whenever I think back to that World Cup summer, to the flags, the pints, the hopeful faces, and the strange conviction that victory might somehow make us whole, I find myself returning to Boozin 21. Not because the Lockins were so different from us, because in the end they are uncomfortably familiar. Perhaps the Lockins never really discovered the secret of happiness. Perhaps that's why the lessons of Boozin 21 have endured for so long. Civilisations rise and fall, empires flourish and disappear. Well, they don't so much disappear as bought out by Disney. But the games are won and lost, yet somewhere in every age, somebody remains convinced that the next triumph will finally answer the oldest question of all. Modern scholarship continues to debate the precise significance of the Lockin reforms. Perhaps the Germans, who refuted the evidence presented by Rule 47, were right in asserting that
Lucky your English auto finds the toilet so amusing. For us, it is a mundane and functional item. For you, it's the basis of an entire culture.
give us a good clicking.
Ushakanaka.